Hi everyone, how are you? Okay dears, this is RANA sir. Welcome to our RANA sir education channel. Today I will talk on a topic whose name is vector analysis. This is the chapter number 3 of the class 11 physics. So in this chapter I will explain concept of scalar quantity, vector quantity, and also I will define types of vector quantities. Okay students, so you concentrate on this live video from starting to end to develop and update your knowledge on this topic. Additional information I am also going to say you follow it positively. First of all, you have to take one notebook, one pen, and then you have to sit at your location properly, positively, to write all informations which are available on the blackboard and also informations which are spoken by me. Now, if you will understand all these informations this live video, and also you share this live video with your colleagues, friends and students so that they can also improve their knowledge on this topic. Knowledge means update and develop their knowledge on this topic. That is, knowledge is also stand for idea. Okay, now one additional information I am also going to tell you. You also subscribe this education channel more and more for getting the each and every concept of the physics which are available in the class 11 and also class 9. Okay, so you concentrate on this live video. Now I will start, and then you also write those informations which are under which you are understood, you are understanding on this topic. Okay, so first of all I am going to explain each and every topic of the vector analysis. Okay students, so positively you concentrate on this live video. Now this is the class 11 English medium or Hindi medium physics. First of all I will explain the topic. That is, topic name is the vector analysis. This is the chapter number 3 of the class 11 physics. Okay, first of all I will explain the informations in English, and then I will translate all informations in Hindi so that students who are reading in CBSE board or in English medium, those students can also understand these informations easily. And also I will translate all information in Hindi, means students who are reading in Hindi medium, that is in UP board, so those students can also understand easily, that is simply. So here I am going to explain about the vector analysis. In the vector analysis I will define. Analysis means we have studied about vector. So first of all I will say, here I will define two information. One will be the vector analysis and other will be the vector scalar quantity. So first point I have to explain here about the vector quantity. Vector quantity. So its concept I will explain in detail. What is the concept of vector quantity? Suppose that I will say a physical quantity which has magnitude and also direction. So that physical quantity I will say a vector quantity, because vector quantity which has one end point and other is no end point, that is that has tip. Okay, so that information I am going to write. A physical quantity Here the physical quantities physical physical quantities physical quantities that have both magnitude and direction, that have both magnitude and directions, magnitudes and directions, that is called vector quantity. Here I will say that is called, that is known as vector quantity. That that's are known as vector quantity. Known as vector quantity. Quantities. So here I write vectors. Okay. So vector quantity is very simple information because the physical quantities that have both magnitudes and direction, that is known as vector quantities, or that is called vector quantity. Both have same meaning. Okay. For example, I will say if a vector I am representing here vector A. So here I will say along the x-axis I am taking magnitude ax I cap. Again I will write ay j cap, and then here I will write az k cap. So I will say this, because this is a vector, it means that this is also vector, this is also vector, and this is also vector. So all this vector I will add. After adding, I will get a vector that will be a vector, and that vector has three directions. One is the y-axis, other is y-axis, and next is, that is third is z-axis. Means in a room I will consider one axis will be x-axis, other will be y-axis, and next will be z-axis. So in this vector is available in 3D, that is in 3-dimensional geometry. So here I will say 3D. So this vector is represents 3D. If any vector which will be available, but that vector has only a value of x-axis and value of y-axis, the value of z-axis is not available. So we can also arrange like this. If I will say another vector that is v, so its magnitude is bx I cap plus byj cap. Okay. So I will say this is a vector, but this vector has only two magnitude and its only two direction. Now this vector is along x-axis and this vector is along y-axis. Now here z-axis has value 0. If anyone will say you also write z-axis also, so I will put here the coefficient of bj, that will be 0, and then here third axis I will consider here 0 into k. It means that this is also a vector, and this vector is also representing a three direction. One is the x-axis, and other will be the y-axis, and next will be the z-axis. But here along the x-axis the coefficient of I, that is bx, and this is the magnitude along x-axis, and this is the coefficient of j, y-axis, coefficient of j. It means that it is along y-axis, and its magnitude is by. Similarly, here I will say 0 is the coefficient of vector k, but k represents the y-axis, but its magnitude is 0. So, so a vector we can represent three axes. One is the x-axis, second is the y-axis, and third is the z-axis. Here I will also put a value. Means I can write here dj. Its value is also given here 0. Okay. So that direction I can arrange like this 0 into k. Okay, student. So here the concept of vector quantity is very simple, because quantity, this is a physical quantity that have, means that have both magnitude and direction. If any physical quantity and that physical quantity will have both magnitude and direction, here magnitude is available and here direction is available, if both will be available, so I will say that quantity is also known as vector quantity, because vector gives the direction. Now I will say that is also known as vector quantity, and yeah, that's known as, yeah, that's called vector quantity. So information will be same. Now here I have given you one example, that is vector A, which is equal to axi plus ay, and vector j. Vector j cat means vector j means vector j cat plus az into k cat. K cat is also represented vector. Okay, this is the symbol we have to know. Some people is writing vector like this, and this is also representing same information. This is the symbol of the vector. Okay, so we have to get this information. If any value which is given like this, so I will say that is the vector. Okay, now the meaning of this is cat. See, cat, vector I cat, j cat, and k cat. So each and every student has to remember it. Okay, now I will say in the types of vector, I will also say this vector is a vector, but its special name is null vector, that is zero vector. I will say null vector. If a vector which is available, the magnitude of that vector is 0, it means that I will say that vector is null vector. Okay, so this is the information, and this information we have to remember, because sometimes such question can be asked in the competitive exam. There will be both option, and if one will be answer null vector, if value of the value along the z axis, the magnitude of z axis will be 0. So I will say this vector is also called null vector. So that information we have to know in detail. Now for example, I will say some physical quantity we have to write here. Those physical quantity will be the vector quantity, right? For example, I have to write here. For example, here I will say velocity. This is also a vector quantity. Now next I will say acceleration. This is also a vector quantity. Next I will say force. Force is also a vector quantity. etc. So these are the physical quantity. Now the velocity is also a physical quantity. Acceleration is also known as physical quantity, and force will also, we can say that is the physical quantity. But these physical quantity have direction. If any physical quantity which has direction, so that physical quantity and both physical quantity, I will say that is the vector quantity. Okay, so this is the complete information about the vector quantity. Vector quantity is very simple, a physical quantity that has both magnitude and also direction. So I will say such quantity, as such physical quantity, I will say vector quantity. Now for example, velocity, I can write here velocity, acceleration, force, etc. These are the vector quantity. With the help of formula, I can also explain how it is vector quantity, because velocity is also written as velocity is also written as like this. Velocity v is equal to displacement, because displacement will have direction, displacement into time, displacement into time. Here I will say that velocity is also represented as displacement into time, because displacement has direction, so velocity will have direction. Therefore I will say this is the vector quantity. Now in the case of acceleration, acceleration is written as a. Now acceleration is also written as change in velocity, change in velocity per unit time. So change in velocity has direction, so velocity acceleration a will have direction, change in velocity but a change in time. So acceleration is also written as change in velocity divided by change in time. So velocity has direction, it means that acceleration will have direction. So this is the concept of vector quantity. How any term I can say vector, because if direction will be there, because here this arrow has one in point and one has tip. It means that one arrow is also known as vector quantity, because in this case I will say one is the in point and other is there is no in point. So force, according to Newton's second law, I can define F is equal to F into A. Now A is the acceleration, because here already I have defined A, acceleration by direction, so I will put here direction. It means that force will have also direction. It means that this is the Newton's second law of motion. In this case I will say the product of mass into acceleration is called force. So F is equal to F into A, because A is the acceleration and A has direction, it means that force has direction. So this is the concept of vector quantity. I hope that each and every students are knowing very well the concept of vector quantity. Okay students, so this is the general vector, because this is the value along the x-axis and this is the value along the y-axis and this is the value along z-axis. It means that this is the vector. In this case we have to also find what is the magnitude of this vector. If two vector will be there, so we have to also get its cross product of these two vector. So after explaining vector quantity and scalar quantity, then I will explain the concept of types of vector, and after explaining types of vector, then I will also explain the concept of multiplication of two vectors, that is the cross product of two vectors. So that is also important. Some numerals and we also on this topic. Okay student, so you concentrate here. Now I am also going to explain all the information in Hindi, so students who are reading in Hindi medium, that is in UP board, so those students can also understand very easily. Okay student, so यहाँ पर क्लास 11 के फिजिक्स को हिंदी मीडियम में एक्सप्लेन किया जाएगा। फिजिक्स का मतलब होता है भौतिक विज्ञान। यहाँ पर वेक्टर क्वांटिटी है, वेक्टर का मतलब होता है एक सदिश राशि होता है, सदिश होता है, सदिश राशि होता है, एनालिसिस का मतलब होता है अध्ययन करना। तो वेक्टर सदिश राशि के बारे में अध्ययन करना होता है, ये चैप्टर 3 में ऑलरेडी एवरेबल है। ओके, तो यहाँ पर इस वेक्टर क्वांटिटी में हम जो वेक्टर एनालिसिस सदिश राशि का जो अध्ययन होता है, उसमें जो होता है वेक्टर क्वांटिटी को एक्सप्लेन करेंगे। वेक्टर क्वांटिटी का मतलब सदिश क्वांटिटी, सदिश राशि को हमको एक्सप्लेन करना है। सदिश राशि का मीनिंग ये होता है कि जितनी भी फिजिकल, दैट इज हम कह सकते हैं भौतिक राशियाँ, जितनी भी भौतिक राशियाँ हैं, लेकिन उन सभी भौतिक राशियों में अगर कोई भी राशि होता है मैग्नीट्यूड मतलब परिणाम, मैग्नीट्यूड का मतलब होता है हिंदी होता है परिणाम, और डायरेक्शन का मतलब होता है दिशा। अगर कोई भी भौतिक राशियाँ परिणाम और दिशा दोनों एक साथ रखता है तो उसको हम क्या करते हैं, वेक्टर क्वांटिटी कहते हैं। वेक्टर क्वांटिटी की मीनिंग हम कहते हैं उसको सदिश राशि होता है। सदिश राशि का मीनिंग यह होता है कि कोई भी फिजिकल क्वांटिटी या कोई भी भौतिक राशियाँ जो एट ए टाइम डायरेक्शन और मैग्नीट्यूड, डायरेक्शन और परिणाम दोनों रखता है, तो उसको हम सदिश राशि करते हैं। एग्जाम्पल के तरफ को हम सदिश राशि को अगर रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं वेक्टर के रूप में, तो यहाँ पर हम वेक्टर आई लिखते हैं और आई के अलावा जो होता है आई का कोफिशिएंट जो होता है AX से लिखा गया है। इसका मतलब यह हुआ कि अगर कोई भी हम एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर किसी रूम को हम कंसीडर करते हैं, तो रूम जो होता है 3 डायमेंशनल होता है, उसमें X एक्सिस, Y एक्सिस और Z एक्सिस तीनों होता है। तो यहाँ पर आई जो होता है एक्स एक्सिस को रिप्रेजेंट करता है, एक्स एक्सिस के अलाउंड जो होता है एक मैग्नीट्यूड है, उस मैग्नीट्यूड का मतलब परिमाण है जिसका वैल्यू एक्स है। उसी तरीके से वेक्टर वाई है जो वाई एक्सिस के अलाउंड जो होता है एक परिमाण है, मैग्नीट्यूड है, वो मैग्नीट्यूड जो होता है ए वाई है। उसी तरीके से जेड एक्सिस के अलाउंड दैट इज जेड एक्सिस का अलाउंड जो वेक्टर है उसका कोफिशिएंट जो होता है ए जेड है। इस तरीके से हम किसी वेक्टर के कोफिशिएंट और उसकी डायरेक्शन को डिफाइन कर सकते हैं। ओके, और नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन ये होता है कि अगर कोई भी वेक्टर दिया गया तो उस वेक्टर का मैग्नीट्यूड क्या होगा। अगर दो वेक्टर दिया गया तो उस दोनों वेक्टर का क्रॉस प्रोडक्ट क्या होगा। इसको हम एक्सप्लेन करेंगे जब हम टाइप्स ऑफ वेक्टर के बारे में एक्सप्लेन करेंगे। उसके बाद से जो होता है क्रॉस मल्टीप्लिकेशन ऑफ टू वेक्टर को भी हम पॉजिटिवली जो होता है एक्सप्लेन करेंगे ताकि इसका कॉन्सेप्ट जो होता है आपके माइंड में स्टोर हो सके। ओके, तो दी जाती है इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट द वेक्टर क्वांटिटी। यहाँ पे ये भी हमने बताया है कि जो इसका एग्जांपल है वेलोसिटी, वेलोसिटी का हिंदी होता है वेग। वेग क्या होता है, वेग जो होता है विस्थापन इनटू टाइम होता है, क्योंकि विस्थापन में दिशा होता है, क्योंकि एक बिंदु से दूसरे बिंदु पर जाते हैं तो उसमें इनफाइनाइट नंबर ऑफ पाथ होता है। सपोज कीजिए यहाँ पर बिंदु ए है और यहाँ पर बिंदु बी है, यहाँ पर बिंदु बी है, तो बिंदु ए से बी तक जाने के लिए इनफाइनाइट नंबर ऑफ पाथ होता है। उस इनफाइनाइट नंबर ऑफ पाथ से हम जा सकते हैं। लेकिन हम किसी भी बिंदु अगर उस कर्व के या उस वक्र के किसी बिंदु को अगर टेंजेंट खींचते हैं तो सभी टेंजेंट बताता है कि उनका दिशा अलग अलग है। जब उस पर जो खींचते हैं वो टेंजेंट जो होता है अलग अलग दिशा को बताता है, इन्फॉर्म करता है। इसका मीनिंग ये होता है कि वह एक अदिश राशि होता है। इसका मीनिंग ये होता है कि जब कोई भी एक बिंदु से दूसरे बिंदु पर जाते हैं उसके लिए इनफाइनाइट नंबर ऑफ पाथ होता है। एक स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे भी मूव कर सकते हैं, तो हर पाथ में जो था अलग अलग डिस्टेंस हो। तो यहाँ पर भी अगर हम दिशा को कैलकुलेट करते हैं तो इसका दिशा इधर हो गया, इस पॉइंट की दिशा इधर हो गया, तो अलग अलग बिंदु को जो होता है अलग अलग दिशा होता है। इसलिए हम कहेंगे अगर कोई भी फिजिकल क्वांटिटी जो होता है अगर एक बिंदु से दूसरे बिंदु पर जाता है तो उसको मोर देन वन दिशा होता है, तो उसको हम कहते हैं वह एक स्केलर क्वांटिटी होता है, वह एक स्केलर क्वांटिटी होता है। लेकिन अगर कोई भी और इस इनफाइनाइट नंबर एक बिंदु से दूसरे बिंदु तक जाने में इनफाइनाइट नंबर ऑफ पाथ होता है, लेकिन उसमें से जो शॉर्टेस्ट पाथ होता है उसी को हम विस्थापन करते हैं। शॉर्टेस्ट पाथ यही होता है जो ए से बी के डायरेक्शन में जाएगी। तो यहाँ पर दिशा की मैग्नीट्यूड तो साथ में है, है परिणाम भी है और परिणाम के साथ साथ दिशा भी होता है। तो इसको हम क्या कहते हैं डिस्प्लेसमेंट। इसीलिए वेलोसिटी जो होता है वेग जो होता है विस्थापन इनकी टाइम होता है। विस्थापन में दिशा होता है, इसलिए वेग में भी दिशा हो जाएगा। इसलिए हम कहेंगे कि वेलोसिटी वेग जो होता है एक वेक्टर क्वांटिटी है, जिसका मीनिंग ये होता है यह एक सदिश राशि। उसी तरीके से एक्सीलरेशन का हिंदी होता है त्वरण। एक्सीलरेशन का हिंदी त्वरण होता है। त्वरण बराबर होता है वेग परिवर्तन की दर बटे समय होता है, वेग परिवर्तन की दर। चूँकि यहाँ पर ऑलरेडी हम देख चुके हैं कि वेग जो होता है वह दिशा रखता है। इसका मतलब यहाँ पर प्रारंभिक वेग और अंतिम वेग है। अंतिम वेग माइनस प्रारंभिक वेग होता है। इसको हम जब सब्सट्रैक्ट करेंगे घटाने के बाद से जो वैल्यू आएगा वह भी एक वेग का मैग्नीट्यूड होगा, तो वह एक दिशा रखता है। इसका मीनिंग यह होता है कि त्वरण भी एक दिशा होगा। जब दिशा रहेगा तो उसको हम क्या कहेंगे सदिश राशि करते हैं, जो इंग्लिश में वेक्टर क्वांटिटी के नाम से जानेंगे। उसी तरीके से यहाँ पर न्यूटन के सेकेंड लॉ ये होता है F बराबर m में। यहाँ पर त्वरण को हम देख रहे हैं दिशा है, इसलिए फोर्स में भी क्या होगा दिशा होगा। मास जो होता है वह एक स्केलर क्वांटिटी होता है, उसमें दिशा दैट इज डायरेक्शन नहीं होता, केवल मैग्नीट्यूड दैट इज परिणाम होता है। ओके, अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस वे I have to explain each and every information about the vector quantity that is the सदिश राशि। ओके स्टूडेंट, हम इस इंफॉर्मेशन को इरेज करेंगे। इरेज करने के बाद से हम स्केलर क्वांटिटी को भी एक्सप्लेन करेंगे डिटेल में। ओके स्टूडेंट, आई होप दैट यू आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग द इंफॉर्मेशन क्लियरली। ओके, so you like this live video and also you share this live video with your colleagues friend and students so that they can also improve, that is update and develop their knowledge on this topic. Okay, and simultaneously you also subscribe this education channel more and more, because this education channel name is RANA SIR UP KUSHINAGAR. Okay, you follow it positively, properly and safely. Okay, now after erasing this topic, and then we will also discuss about the concept of scalar quantity that we are discussed. Okay, so concept of scalar quantity I will define, and after defining I will also translate in Hindi, so each and every student who are reading in UP board, that is in Hindi medium, those student can also understand all the information in Hindi in detail. Okay, now if I will speak here, I will explain any topic in English. It means that students who are reading in English medium, that is in CBSE board, those students can also understand all the information clearly, because this is the important topic. If you will understand here, so you will also one book of that is one book which is available in vector, that is 3D. In 3D, so concept of 3D will be cleared by this topic. Okay, so this chapter also clear you about the concept of 3D. 3D means D stands for dimensional, 3 dimensional. So 3 dimensional geometry you can also learn here in detail. Okay, this is very important, because some person can be also asked in the competitive exam if you will know this basic concept. So you can also solve the any question which will be available in your competitive exam. Okay students, so now I am going to erase this information positively, and after erasing I will also explain the concept of scalar quantity. Okay students, so you can concentrate on this slide video from the starting to in for developing good knowledge about this topic. Okay students, so positively I am erasing it, and after erasing I will also explain the concept of scalar quantity. Here I will also explain the concept of scalar quantity. Now this is the point number 2. So this point number 2 I will explain in detail, that is scalar quantity. What is the concept of scalar quantity? We have to explain here in detail. Now a physical quantity that has only magnitude but no direction, that is called scalar quantity. The physical quantity that has only magnitude but no direction. Magnitudes but no direction is called scalar quantity. Scalar quantity. Okay, this is the scalar quantities. I consider scalars. That is called scalar quantity. Okay, this is the concept of scalar quantities. Scalar quantity. So here I will say one quantity I will explain. Okay, a physical quantity. Here I will explain ideas. Scalar quantities. Here I will put also yes. Okay. So a quantity, the physical quantity that have only magnitude, but no direction is called are called scalar quantity. are called scalar quantity. Now this information it is also represented with a single number. Here I will say it is also represented as a single number. A single number. It is also represented as a single number. For example, I can write here. For example, single number I can say that is 5, 10, 15, 84, etc. So I will say scalar quantity. Scalar quantity means what? That is the physical quantity that has only magnitudes but no direction. That is known as they are called the scalar quantity. For example, I will say it is also represents a single number. It means that I can write, for example, 5. This is also a magnitude, this is also a number, but it has no direction. Only this is magnitude, but direction is not included here. So I will say 5 is a scalar quantity. Similarly, I will say 10 is also a scalar quantity, 15 is also a scalar quantity, 84 will be also a scalar quantity, and so on. That is etc. That is I can write here, and so on. And so on. That is also a scalar quantity. So this is very to define the concept of scalar quantity. Scalar quantity, scalar stands for अदिश, and quantity means राशियाँ. So अदिश राशियाँ क्या होती है? अदिश राशि को हम कह सकते हैं कि भौतिक राशियाँ, वे सभी भौतिक राशियाँ जो केवल मैग्नीट्यूड मतलब परिमाण को रखते हैं, वो सभी भौतिक राशियाँ जो परिमाण को रखते हैं लेकिन वो दिशा को नहीं रखते हैं, डायरेक्शन नहीं रखते हैं, वो सभी राशियाँ को क्या कहेंगे? स्केलर क्वांटिटी. स्केलर क्वांटिटी का मीनिंग यह होता है अदिश राशि. अदिश राशियाँ वो सभी फिजिकल क्वांटिटी, सभी भौतिक राशियाँ होते हैं जो केवल मैग्नीट्यूड परिमाण को रखते हैं लेकिन दिशा नहीं होता है. तो वैसे सभी राशियों को क्या कहेंगे? स्केलर क्वांटिटी. स्केलर क्वांटिटी को हिंदी में जो होता है अदिश राशि के नाम से जानते हैं. अदिश राशि वो सभी राशि होती है जिसमें सिर्फ मैग्नीट्यूड होता है, परिमाण होता है लेकिन दिशा नहीं होता है. तो इस तरीके से हम कह सकते हैं 5, 10, 15, 84 एंड सो ऑन. ये सभी इसके उदाहरण हैं. ये सभी अदिश राशि के उदाहरण होते हैं. ओके स्टूडेंट, सो आई होप दैट you are knowing very well about the concept of scalars quantity and also vectors quantity. Okay, so these are the quantities and you have to know in detail, because if in the exam can be asked how many types of quantities, so you have to take there are 2 types of quantity. One is the scalar quantity and other is the vector quantity. Vector quantity means any physical quantity that has both magnitudes and also direction. So those quantity I will say the vector quantity, but a quantity that has only magnitude but no direction, I will say that is the scalar quantity. That is also represent a number. So number here 5, 10, 15 and so on you can write. That will be the scalar quantity. Okay, I hope that you are knowing very good about the concept of this scalar quantity. Okay student, now one additional information I am also going to tell you about the concept of scalar quantity. Here I will explain the concept of type of vector quantity. Okay student, so firstly I am going to erase this one and then our next topic I will explain in detail. Okay, so here I am going to erase this. You concentrate on this live video to understand about the concept of type of vector quantity. Next topic will be types of vectors quantities. Types of vector quantity. There are 14 types of vector quantity, but one by one I will explain and also I will give the example of each vector quantity. First of all, I will say position vector. Position vector. So here I will say what is the concept of position vector. So position vector I will explain. If any vector that is available, but that vector has a x-axis, I will say this is the x-axis. Now I will also draw a y-axis. Y-axis. So intersection x-axis and y-axis I will say origin, and its coordinate will be 0. Now I will draw a vector along in the xy plane. So in the xy plane I will draw a vector. So we have to explain that is the position vector. Position is that vector will start from the origin, and I will say that is in first quadrant, and I will say this is the vector A. So this is the vector A. So I will say here point is available, here point is available B. So I will say OB, vector OB is the position vector. Vector OB is equal to vector A, and it is also known as position vector. Position vector. So this is the required concept of position vector. Means स्थित राशियां. In other words, we can say that this O, here I will say OP, and here I will say Q. So here one vector is OP, that is the along x-axis, and OQ, that is the along y-axis. But position vector I have considered from O to B. That is the position vector, and that position vector is also represented with A. And this A, it means that this is the vector along z-axis. So here one axis is the x-axis, and second is the y-axis, and third will be the z-axis. Now here the x-axis and y-axis is available in the xy plane, but this vector will be along like this. This vector will be along this. So that OB vector will be along this vector. So because here this blackboard is available 2D, but this OB will be along this vector. So I will say that is the position vector. OB is the position vector, and that position vector is represented with A, and vector A has 3 directions. One is the x-axis direction, second is the y-axis direction, and third will be the z-axis direction. So this is the required concept of position vector. Each and every student has to know about this concept in detail. Okay student, I hope that you are also understanding about the concept of position vector in detail. Okay student, now after explaining this, then I will also explain about the concept of displacement vector. So displacement vector I will also write here information, and after writing information I will also resolve with the help of diagram, and then I will also solve some question which will be also available in the case of displacement vector. Okay student, so firstly I am going to explain the concept of position vector. Now these informations I am also going to explain in Hindi so that each and every student can also understand. Position means स्थित. तो स्थिति यहाँ पर क्या है, ओ से जो होता है एक वेक्टर एक एरे होता है. एरे मैंने ड्रा किया है, वो एरे जो होता है जेड एक्सिस के एलॉन्ग, उसका नाम क्या है ओ बी. ओ बी यहाँ पर ऑलरेडी लिखा हुआ है, और ओ बी जो होता है वेक्टर ए के बराबर होता है, और इसको जो होता है हम पोजीशन वेक्टर कहेंगे. तो वेक्टर ए है, इसमें 3 डायरेक्शन है, एक एक्स एक्सिस के दिशा में है, दूसरा वाई एक्सिस के दिशा में, और तीसरा जो होता है जेड एक्सिस की दिशा में. क्योंकि ये ब्लैक बोर्ड जो होता है 2D है, और 3D हम इसको दिखाने के लिए मैं इस तरीके से दिखाया हूँ. देखिए यह वेक्टर जो होता है ये टेस्टर के एलॉन्ग है, इसलिए एक्स एक्सिस वाई एक्सिस, और तीसरा जो होता है जेड एक्सिस के एलॉन्ग है, इसलिए इसको हम पोजीशन वेक्टर कहेंगे. वो भी को हम पोजीशन वेक्टर कहेंगे, वो वेक्टर ए के इक्विवेलेंट होगा। ऑलरेडी वेक्टर ए को मैंने लिखा था ए एक्स आई कैप प्लस ए वाई जे कैप प्लस ए जेड के कैप के बारे में हमने ऑलरेडी लिखा था। ओके स्टूडेंट, now next point I have to explain about the displacement vector. That is also important, and you have to also note about the concept of displacement vector in detail. Okay student, now here I am going to erase this. After erasing, I will also explain about the concept of displacement vector. So that is very very important. So here I will write displacement vector. This displacement vector. What is the concept of displacement vector? So here I say one axis I am drawing here along x-axis. So I will say this is the x-axis. Now along this line I will say that is the y-axis. That is the y-axis. Now here I will say intersection point, I will say only that is O. Now one vector I will draw. I will say this is the vector E. Now one vector I will also draw like this, and I will say this is the vector Q. So from this vector I will draw. So I will say this point will be Q and this point is P. So we have to find OQ vector. OQ vector will be OP vector plus PQ vector. So this value I will write. So PQ vector will be equal to, I will write PQ vector is equal to vector PQ, which is equal to, here if any term which is going from left to right or right to left, its sign will change. So here I can write OQ vector minus OP vector. So this is the information, and we have to write this information positively. Okay student, so PQ vector which is equal to OP vector minus OP vector. Okay, so I will assume here OP vector that is R1 and PQ vector I will say OP vector that will be R2. This is also vector I am assuming here. This vector will be R1 and this vector will be R2. So I will put its value. OQ is vector R2. OQ is vector R2 and OP is vector R1. So PQ, vector PQ I can write in this way. PQ is equal to R2 minus R1. Okay, student. So this information we have to write in detail, so each and every student can also write, because now any point that is written x1 comma y1, this is the point P, because this is the point P and its coordinate will be x1 comma y1. Similarly I will say this is the point Q and its coordinate will be x2 comma y2. So these value we have to put in the form of x1 y1 and x2 y2, and then I will also take the magnitude of this resultant vector, that is PQ. So this is the required concept, because some question can be also asked in the exam, because OP vector will be given, OQ vector will be given, what will be the magnitude of PQ vector. So this is very very important, and we have to find its meaning. Okay student, so positively I will also get the value of R2 and also the value of R1, and then I will substitute here, and after substituting I will take its magnitude, that will be the magnitude of the vector PQ. Okay student, so positively I will explain in detail. Okay student, now further I will explain about the concept of these in this. so that student who are reading in Hindi medium, that is in UP board, those student can also understand in detail. यहाँ पर मैंने दो एक्सिस लिया है, एक एक्सिस एक्स एक्सिस और दूसरा एक्सिस वाई एक्सिस। इस तरीके से होता है कि एक्स एक्सिस जो होता है वाई एक्सिस पर क्या होता है, परपेंडिकुलर होता है। परपेंडिकुलर का मतलब 90 डिग्री। सपोज दैट एक एक्सिस ऐसे ले लेंगे, दूसरा एक्सिस ऐसे ले लेंगे, तो यह जो है एक्स और वाई एक्सिस नहीं होगा, क्योंकि इस एक्सिस दोनों एक्सिस के बीच में कितना डिग्री होना चाहिए, 90 डिग्री। जब यहाँ पर देख रहे हैं कि 90 डिग्री बन रहा है, जब 90 डिग्री होगा तो उस केस में कहेंगे दोनों एक्सिस जो होता है एक्स वाई प्लेन में एग्जिस्ट करता है। तो एक्स वाई प्लेन में मैंने एक्स एक्सिस को ड्रॉ किया, वाई एक्सिस को ड्रॉ किया, एक पोजीशन वेक्टर ओपी को लिया जिसका वैल्यू जो होता है यहाँ पर r1 वेक्टर के नाम से लिखा। उसी तरीके से पोजीशन वेक्टर ओ क्यू लिया जिसको r2 के नाम से यहाँ पर हमने रिप्रेजेंट किया है। लेकिन अब हम जो होता है इस किसी भी पॉइंट किसी भी बिंदु को जो होता है x1, y1 के फॉर्म में लिखते हैं, x1, y1, और यहाँ पे x2, y2 के फॉर्म में लिखते हैं। अब यहाँ पर जो होता है हम इसके वैल्यू को सब्स्टिट्यूट करेंगे वेक्टर। अगर इसको हमको लिखना होगा वेक्टर r1 को लिखेंगे x I कैप x1 I कैप प्लस y1 j कैप। अगर वेक्टर के रूप में लिखना हो तो इस तरीके से लिख सकते हैं, वेक्टर r1 इज इक्वल टू x1 I कैप प्लस y1 j कैप। इसी तरीके से वेक्टर r2 को लिखना होता है तो इस तरीके से लिख सकते हैं, वेक्टर r2 इज इक्वल टू x2 I कैप प्लस y2 j कैप, y2 j कैप। तो अब वेक्टर r1 और वेक्टर r2 के वैल्यू को यहाँ पर सब्स्टिट्यूट करेंगे। वेक्टर r1 का वैल्यू और वेक्टर r2 का वैल्यू, r2 का वैल्यू लिखना है तो यहाँ पर लिखेंगे x2 वेक्टर I प्लस y2 वेक्टर j, और ये ब्रैकेट में लिखेंगे। यहाँ पर माइनस साइन एक भी तो माइनस साइन रखेंगे। उसके बाद से वेक्टर I1 लिखेंगे। वेक्टर I1 को यहाँ पर लिखे हैं ऑलरेडी x1 I कैप प्लस y1 j कैप। ओके स्टूडेंट, अब जो है इसको सिंपली जो वेक्टर x है उसके मैग्नीट्यूड को इकट्ठा करेंगे, वेक्टर y के मैग्नीट्यूड को आप जो इकट्ठा करेंगे। तो यहाँ पर ध्यान दीजिए कि x का मैग्नीट्यूड x2 है और यहाँ पर I का मैग्नीट्यूड माइनस x1 है, तो x2 माइनस x1 लिखेंगे प्लस y2 माइनस y1 j लिखेंगे। इस तरीके से हम सिंप्लीफाई करके लिख सकते हैं। ओके स्टूडेंट, so now this information I am also going to explain in English because this is a point P and the coordinate of point P will be x comma y, because here there are 2 points, so one point I will say x1 comma y1 and other point will be x2 comma y2. Now here I am considering vector r1. Vector r1 can be written as vector r1 is equal to the value along x axis x1 I cap plus y1 j cap. This is a vector. Similarly vector r2 I can write x2 I cap plus y2 j cap. Now these value, the value of r1 vector r1 and vector r2 I will substitute here. After substituting I will collect the coefficient of vector I and also the coefficient of vector j. After evaluating and after evaluating I will also take its magnitude. So here I write this is the vector PQ. So this is the vector PQ. So this value I have represented there. Okay student, so I hope that you are doing very well, and after explaining this concept, now finally I will write the vector PQ in the form of x2 minus x1 vector I plus y2 minus y1 vector j, and then I will also take its magnitude. Okay student, so you concentrate on these live videos, and from starting to end I will explain in detail. So the concept of this displacement vector you will know in detail. Okay students, so further I am going to explain resolve zero data up to destination. Okay student, so above information firstly I am going to erase, and after erasing I will also find its resultant vector, that is displacement vector. So here the coefficient of vector I write x2 minus x1, and then here I write vector I cap. Similarly here y2 minus y1, this is minus m0. So here I will put plus sign y2 minus y1, and then here I will write vector j cap. So this is the vector, this is the vector pq. So vector pq I have written in the form of x1 y1 and also x2 y2. Now further I will also get its magnitude. So its magnitude will be x. So I will write magnitude means in any value that is written in the modular sign, so that will be positive value. So I will say that will be the square root of coefficient of vector I. So coefficient of vector I is x2 minus x1 whole square, and then I will put here y2 minus y1, y2 minus y1 whole square. This is the magnitude of the vector pq. So magnitude of the vector pq, that is vector pq magnitude of the vector pq, which is equal to square root of y2 minus y1 whole square plus y2 minus h2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. So this is the required magnitude of the position vector, the rejected, that is vector pq. So that magnitude will be like this: the value of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1. If any two vector will be given and both vector will be position vector, so we will get the vector pq. We have to find vector pq. So we can also subtract from y2 minus y1 vector I, x2 minus x1 vector I plus y2 minus y1 vector j, and then we will take its magnitude by using this concept, because here the coefficient of vector I whole square plus coefficient of vector j whole square, and then I will take its square root. Okay, this is the required concept of vector pq. So if you are getting any confusion, so you write your confusion, doubt, any query in the comment section. Positively I will see, and then I will reply the answer of your question. Okay, if you are doing very well, so you like this live video, and also you share this live video with your colleagues, friends and students, so that they can also improve, that is update and develop their knowledge on this topic. Okay, and simultaneously you also subscribe this educational channel more than more, because each and every concept of the class 11 physics and also class 9 physics I will explain in detail with concept and also numericals. Okay, so each and every concept you will know. So question which will be asked in the competitive exam, so you can also solve easily. Okay, so this is the very easy information. If you will know each and every topic in detail, so question will be very easy. If you will miss any topic, so problem will be difficult for solving. Okay students, so you concentrate on this live video properly. If any class, if you are missing, so you go in my video section and go in my playlist section, and each and every data I have also organized for you. That is 3 online coaching classes, that is class 12 mathematics, class 12 physics, class 9 physics, and also class 10 physics and mathematics are also available there, and this is the class 11 physics. So and mathematics are also available there. So you go there and properly, positively and securely you read each and every topics in detail. If you will get any confusion, so you write your confusion in comment section by typing, and then positively then I will look, then I will reply the solution and your question in detail. Okay student, now next information of it I am also going to say. So this position vector can be also written, because this position vector, if I will say that is the R, if I will represent R, so I can write here vector R, magnitude of vector R, which is equal to, here I will write square root of x2 minus x1 whole square, and then I will put there y2 minus y1 whole square. So this is also formula. With the help of this formula we can also solve the given question directly. Okay, so you remember it. Okay, so Thank you for watching this live video. If you are getting any confusion, so you write your confusion information in detail. Okay, student. So I will resolve, and after resolving I will give the appropriate solution. So this is the formula when any two position vector will be given. So direct I can use this formula for getting the magnitude of both point, that is the resultant vector, that is PQ. So that will be the vector will be like this. Vector will be PQ, which is equal to x2 minus x1 whole x2 minus x1 into vector I plus y2 minus y1 vector j cap. This is also represented vector. Okay, this is the vector. If two position vector will be given, so I can use this concept for getting the resultant, that is for getting the PQ vector. And if PQ vector I will get, so I will take its magnitude. So magnitude will be such as here I will write the coefficient of vector I whole square plus coefficient of vector j whole square, and then I will take its square root. Okay, student. So thank you for watching this live video. If you are getting any confusion, so you write your information in the comment section. Positively I will see, and then I will write the solution of your question in detail. Okay, if you are understanding very well, so you like this live video, and also you share this live video with your colleagues, friends and students, so that they can also improve, that is update their knowledge on this topic. Okay, student. Thank you for watching this live video. Okay, student. जय हिंद.